Timer. Yeah, we gotta start exactly 8:35, you know? Okay. All right. It's 8:35. We're gonna get started. Thanks for joining the Kahoot. Yeah, great. Okay, so I tried to give like a review of navigation since today's demo is gonna be on navigation. So let's see what we know. No. I'm just kidding. I'll explain it. Don't worry. You're good. You're good. It's totally understandable to forget because that was 2 days ago and I went through quickly. So this serves as our review.
Long as you answer something, you'll get
Yeah.
attendance.
Oh, most people got it. Okay, great. Yeah, so it is at the root of our app. So the nav host is basically like what decides which screen that we display, and it connects to the nav controller and uses the state of the nav controller to decide what screen we're going to display in our app. So we place it at the very root of our application. So we just call that composable, and then it decides which composable to display. Okay. 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 So this one I didn't like put a lot of emphasis on this, but this is something I do want to emphasize now that we're doing the Kahoot. So basically like yes, you can pass a nav controller to allow screens to navigate to other screens. The nav host, remember, that's just responsible for like displaying our content. So you can't call like navhost.navigate. That doesn't exist. And yeah, you can pass a nav controller to the screen. But I did mention that like the best practice is to pass an anonymous function because if we give a screen access to the entire nav controller, it makes it like a lot harder to reason about what that screen is doing. But if we pass down a single function that has the like behavior of navigating to another screen, then we know for certain that that screen can only like use that function to navigate. And it just like makes it easier to reason about the state of our app. So yeah, it's like more recommended that you're not passing the nav controller around and instead just capturing its behavior in functions. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so the nav controller is oh wait, actually, okay. You know what? I realized that like this question is uh a bit bad on my part, I will say. So the nav controller, like I kind of put that answer there just because it's mainly used for like switching between screens. And technically you can actually get like the nav backstack entry from the nav controller, but the nav controller itself, it I mean, I guess it does like contain that information since you can get it out of it, but it just like wasn't really what I was looking for because you don't like directly read like the state of the navigation controller to like find to get that information. Like I think the best answer here is like technically the nav backstack entry. So that just like get has information about the like the screen that's like at the top of your stack. So I feel like that is like the best answer here. But if you chose nav controller, like you're not wrong. It does contain information. So I probably should have like had another answer there. And even like the nav host, maybe you could argue that because you pass the nav controller into it, it also contains information. So yeah, maybe not the best question on my part. That's my bad. But yeah, I mean, as long as you understand the nav backstack entry is like what we actually use to get information about the screen we're on. So awesome. Okay, so most of you got the like one of my biggest points in on Monday's lecture, which is that like a sealed class is a very nice way to represent routes. Strings, that is like the traditional way of representing routes in our app, but now that we have this sealed class and we can have like strong typing on the properties that our screen needs to take in, that just tends to be like a lot more useful. Yeah, and then yeah, nav screen, I just made this one up. So okay, cool. Congrats to the winners. I don't know your names by your net ID, but you're all great. Okay. Yeah, let's get into, oh wait, close out of that. Okay, let's get into the slides for today. So we'll start off with some announcements. P4 is due this Sunday, so start early. The drop deadline is 1 week from today, November 13th. Hack challenge is coming up. Um, yeah, and we don't have to worry about that last one for right now. Okay. I will say that I hope during this lecture we can be united by the beauty of Android development, regardless of how you feel about the results. So um yeah, let's just appreciate Android development and get into some navigation. So today's demo, I'm just gonna ask you to implement a like simple, I mean, I call it simple. There is actually like a lot of components to it because you have to use the nav host, the nav controller, and the nav backstack entry. But basically just implement navigation between two screens. And you want to try passing one argument from one screen to the other and display it. So I'll show what like the demo that I made looks like. Um, okay, so uh, I just have it's like very very like basic here. So we just have like a text input. I can put in anything. So hello, and then I click send to other screen, and then that just opens another screen that displays the text. So yeah, that's really all I'm asking for here, and it does seem like pretty basic, but there is like a lot of components to navigation, so I expect this to take a bit of time. And there's one thing that you need to do for setup first. So for setup, what we're gonna have to do is add a couple of dependencies to our code. And I actually don't have these memorized or anything, but we're basically gonna like do this in two steps. So make a new project on Android Studio right now. Um, and while you're making that, I'm going to like bring up the course textbook. Yeah. Um, okay. I will say. Um, let's see. All right. And then yeah, so once you have the like a new Android Studio project made, just like shark your laptops. Okay, cool. Okay, it looks like most of us have it made so far. I still have to bring up I'm kind of forgetting where it was. Navigation. Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay. So, you're gonna have to, now that you have like a new Android Studio project, you're gonna have to add some dependencies. So this can be pretty annoying. I recommend like going to the course textbook and copying and pasting it. But like there's gonna be two main steps. First is like adding the libs versions and then adding these to build Gradle. So we're gonna like do it together, basically. So yeah, you guys can like open up your laptops again and then um what I'm going to ask you to do is actually, I'll start a new project as well, really quick, so we can just have a fresh start. Okay. And then what I'm going to ask you to do is open libs.versions.toml. Uh, and a quick way to find that file, and this is also like a nice Android Studio tip, is if you hit Control Shift O on Windows or Command Shift O on Mac, it brings up this like file searcher. So now you can type libs.versions.toml and press enter. And then this is the file that you should get to. So yeah, the, open that file. And if you have it open, then you just want to like copy and paste these two lines from the course textbook and put them under libraries. And then this line from the plugin section and put it under plugins. So take a minute to do that. I'll like do it as well. So under libraries, paste these two. Under plugins, we paste this one, and that's that for library versions. So I can like zoom in, I guess. I don't know if that helps, but cool. Can I get some nods if we've finished that? Okay. Okay. I think most people have. Okay. Then we're gonna go to the module app level build.gradle file. So if you have like this file viewer pane, you have Android open, you can access it just by going to Gradle scripts and then go to module app. And this is your build.gradle file. So you'll see like a bunch of different settings in here for your Android application. And at the bottom, you'll find the dependencies. So we're going to add a couple dependencies here. And again, just like copy and paste this from the course website. So yeah, just like that. And then we're also going to add this plugin alias. So we just copy and paste this. And then you want to put it into the plugins section. Okay. And then there's one last thing you have to do, which is like not specified in the course textbook actually. And that would be changing the compile SDK from 34 to 35. I think some of the libraries we're using are like a bit too new for 34. So if yours might say like something higher than for 34 by default. If it does, that's fine. But for me, I have to change it to 35 still. So yeah, and then when you press sync, you can monitor the build progress by going to the left and like hitting this build icon. And you should see it build successfully. So that is like the basic setup for the demo. And then um, we're going to be able to, you know, complete the demo with the setup, hopefully. If you need help, let us know. We're here. Um, yeah. Okay, does anyone need help with like getting the dependencies installed? I feel like sometimes that's the hardest part. But all right, looks like people are chilling. Okay. Yeah, so then in that case, you can just get on with it. So there's also, I do recommend like referencing this page. So this shows you how to implement a bottom navigation bar, but it contains like a lot of core like foundational stuff, like how you set up the sealed class and also like how you initialize the nav host. And like you can use this technique, whether or not you're using a bottom navigation bar. So this could be a good resource for you. Or also just like Google whatever you want. You can look at the slides from the previous lecture. So yeah, that should be good to get started. And just like raise your hand if you have any questions. Cool. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys uh like 30 minutes, maybe like 25, and then I'll go over the solution. Yeah. Um, and I'll also put on some lo-fi, as we traditionally do. Wait, I could use Spotify. Oh wait, I don't dox my Spotify. No. Okay. Save myself. I saved myself. Never mind. Uh, very good music. We want to take our minds off of the election, not on, not on. Android, Android lo-fi, is that a thing? Is that a thing? Sure it is. No,
It's not.
copyright free is what comes up. Okay.
I don't know.
Oh,
Just late.
yeah. Oh, it's nice. Piano vibes. It's kind of sad.
Like the vibes today, I guess.
Oh no.
Just am I doing resell? Of course. You love resell.
Oh no,
It's
wait.
still there.
It's still there. Ah, I can't be violating AI. That's why it's so hot right now.
Can I?
Yes. It's like at the center.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Oh no. No more loaf. Oh, who's loading? Why is that 1080p?
Huh?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, the picture is like pixel art of a cat in the rain.
You
Just
like it?
like you like cats, you like pixel art. This is for you.
You like rain?
Yeah. Certain days. Oh, I gotta stop scrolling through this. I hope no one's looking. Okay. Oh, okay. Wait, what did I just do? Wow. Oh, wait. I actually like this setup better because now I can like
Oh, that's
I can see this without having to look over, you know.
yes. It's brilliant.
Oh, tutorial first. Those were so fun.
Yeah, I like counting stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Was telling me that she's being featured in the second question.
Oh,
She is.
wow. Wait, that's cool. Damn. Balls and bins was my nightmare. It
Oh,
was like
wait,
so
wait.
hard
We
for me.
started today.
Yeah.
Wait, really? Oh no. I'm scared. If it's like your nightmare, then it's probably gonna be like
I
really bad.
mean, yes, but like not in the way that like I just gonna be really bad for anyone. It's balls and bins. Like,
It's possible.
okay, but it's like pretty cool though.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have one full in your right today.
You got what?
We have four members.
Oh,
Because I didn't trust my friends. So I
nice.
took this.
Yeah. Kind of go against the grain, you know? That's what like my intro to Japan professor was saying today. Because she's like talking about the election. She's like, you need to ask yourself, who are you? Where are your morals? Like, wait, maybe I should mute myself now. Zoom audio. Oh, big Zoom audience. Getting distracted. Sorry, guys. Okay, cool. We're gonna go over the solution now. Great. This is empty. Okay. And then let me put this on the side so I can cheat in case I need to. I don't think I should. But okay, cool. So to set up our navigation, oh wait, this is the solution. That's funny. Okay, cool. So to set up our navigation, I'm first just gonna start by like making the screens because I think that's a bit easier. So we're gonna do two composable functions here. Um, First one I'll call it screen A, and second one I'll call screen B. Okay. Um, cool. So for our first function, we're gonna just have it like use a text field. So we're gonna create a text, a stateful string. And then oh, we need to get those imports in as well. And then what we need to do is just put in a text input field. So I'm gonna arrange this in a column, and we're gonna do a text field. The value is text, and on value change, we're just going to assign the text to whatever the changed value was. And let me turn on the formatting because I can't live without that. Um, cool. Okay. Yeah, so we're gonna do that. And then we need our button, and our button's gonna navigate to the other screen. So on click, we want to navigate to that screen, which means that screen A is gonna need that anonymous function we discussed in the Kahoot. So we're gonna say navigate, it needs a parameter called navigate to screen B, and that's gonna be of this type, which is just like a function that we can call and it doesn't like return anything. So we'll put that in here. And then we'll just put some text in our button that says display message. And one thing I actually realized is that we're going to need to send a string to screen B. So this is actually going to have to be a type string. And then we're going to have to send in something, right? So we're going to send our text. And like right now, we're just going to work as if, oh, right. So this needs to be surrounded by curly braces. So we're actually calling this function instead of just passing it through. Okay, so basically we're just gonna assume that this was implemented correctly. We're gonna say, okay, navigate to screen B. That will send our text to screen B, and we'll leave that as it is. And now screen B, we want to be able to display our text, which means that we're gonna need a parameter. And what I'm gonna do is just display in the center of the screen like I did before. So for that, the easiest way to do it is just have a column that's fill max size. Then we can say that the horizontal alignment is centered horizontally, and the vertical arrangement is also center. In my opinion, that's just like the easiest way to center something in the screen. And now we want to put in our message. So your text is, and then we're going to put in our message, and I'm going to make the font size a bit larger here. So we'll just say 80. And yeah, SP is like the unit for font size. So yeah, that's a little strange work of Compose, but cool. Okay, so we have our two screens done, and now let's set up like the actual navigation. Um, so if you remember from the Kahoot, right, our navigation goes into the root of our app. And the very root of our app is this main activity. So we want to look at like where we're calling a composable function, and we want to replace this. What do we want to replace it with? What composable? Anyone know? So this composable is going to like decide which route gets displayed. Do you remember which composable is responsible for that? Yeah. Yeah, nav host, exactly. So we can put in a nav host. And yeah, our nav host, we want to choose the one that has a start destination. So the imports definitely get confusing. But like we're not going to use this like graph-based one. So we want to find the one that has a start destination and import that. And now it's going to ask us for two parameters. So our first is the nav controller. And the way that we can get a nav controller in our app is by just doing val nav controller equals remember nav controller. And that's just going to give us an instance of nav controller that will survive recompositions. That's what this remember means. So if we like rotate our screen, the nav controller, we're not going to lose that information. And now we're going to pass in nav controller here. And then we still need a start destination, right? So I'll just put that as like an empty string for now. And then here we want to specify our screens. So let's specify the layout of our screens, right? And as we said in the Kahoot, we're going to use a serializable sealed class. So one thing to note is that like just because of we're doing it in demo, I'm just doing it all in one file. But when you're making your own projects, you definitely want to separate things out into different files. So I might have like a file called screen.kotlin, and that's where I would specify where all my screens go. Okay. So now that we have this screen, we're gonna have two screens. The first one doesn't have any arguments. We just want like a name for a screen. And for that, we're going to use a data object. And a data object is basically like an instance of a class that has no properties. So this is going to be screen A. And then our screen B actually does have arguments. So that's going to be a data class. And it's going to take in a message, which is of type string. And then we need to annotate both of these with serializable. So then the routes can be parsed. Cool. Okay. And now we can specify our start destination. So we're going to say that that's screen A. Oh, that's the function, right? So we want to say screen dot screen A. Yeah. Okay. That's our start destination. One other thing you'll notice is that we have this like inner padding here that's not used, and this will actually like give you a compilation error if you don't use it. So to abide by scaffold's wish, I'm going to create a column, and I'm just going to make this fill the max size and then have the inner padding. So yeah, cool. And then we're going to go back up here and just move this inside of the column. And one thing you might notice, like as I'm like the way that I'm like typing pretty fast, like I feel like this isn't really emphasized enough in like an intro course, which is that I'm using the tab key a lot. The tab key like automatically imports things for you, and it also like it autofills what you want to type. So it's very useful, and I like highly recommend that you continue like using this drop down. And like sometimes if you don't know what to do, just typing a dot and like looking at these options give you a ton of insight. So yeah, that's kind of an aside, but back to the nav controller. So we have our hosts, and now we need to like specify what screens we actually want to use. And the way that we do that is by typing out this composable. And this is going to say, okay, what composable do we want to display when we have a certain screen? And these angle brackets show that like this, we need a type here, right? This is a function that is parameterized on a certain type. So the type that we're going to pass in is screen A. Because remember, this screen A, it kind of works as like an instance of a class as well as a type itself, which is like it works as a class and an instance of a class kind of at the same time. So we can like use it as a type. Honestly, data objects are still like a little bit confusing even to me how like the internals of it actually work, but it does work. So there's screen A, and we can just call our screen A composable now. And we're gonna have to pass in a navigate to screen B function, and we'll just leave that blank for now. And then we want to also provide a composable for screen B. So screen.screen B, and we want screen B, and we need to pass in a message, which will also be blank for now. Cool. Okay. Now, does anyone know like what are we going to put in this first lambda? How do we navigate to screen B? Like what do we want to call? Any ideas? Or at least maybe like at a higher level, like what part of our navigation are we going to use? Like what controls our navigation? Um, yes. Yes, yes. Nav controller. Okay. So nav controller. And then yeah, we're gonna do dot navigate. That's the sensible thing to do here. And then um we're gonna pass in screen B. So screen dot screen B. And then what you'll notice is there's still an error here, and that's because screen B is a data class. So we need to initialize an instance of it using the constructor, and then we need to pass in a message. So based on how I set up the screen navigate to screen B, right? It takes a string. It's of type like string arrow unit. So does anyone know like where can I get this string that I need in this function? Any ideas? Right? We have a function and it's taking in a how do I say it? Yeah. So we have this function, right? And it's of type string arrow unit. So basically, we're taking a string and then doing some behavior with it. So if you remember from like the Kotlin lecture, you can actually use that string just using the keyword it. But if you want to make it a bit more readable, we could say message arrow and then message. So this is basically just like someone like called, this is our function. Someone called this function with a parameter message, and we're saying, okay, here's what we want to do with that parameter. We want to navigate to screen B. Um, okay, cool. And then the last thing we have to do is get the message. So here we can like get our nav backstack entry. So the nav backstack entry comes from this function that we like pass into our composable. So nav backstack entry. Or wait, we can do it like this. It's like this. Yeah. And yeah, so you can see we have a nav backstack entry to work with. So what we can do with that is we can say our message is equal to nav backstack entry dot, and then we're going to use something called toRoute. So remember how like behind the scenes our nav backstack entries are just like strings of data, and Kotlin's going to do this like parsing for us. So the parsing that like what we want to convert it to is screen B, right? We want to convert it to a data class that represents the arguments for screen B. Um, and maybe message is not the best word for this, but well, if we want to make this the message, right? Now we have an instance of the data class here, screen B, and we want to access the message property. So we just do dot message, dot message. Oh wait, I accidentally got rid of two. Oh, I'm just on the wrong thing. Cool. Okay, dot message, and then we pass message into screen B, and then we run and we hope it works. And now we're 10% of the way there. So as they say, 10% is like coding and 90% is debugging. But if we do it right, we're actually already there, hopefully. So let's see. Yay. There it is. Yeah, cool. If anyone has any questions, you can come up or just raise your hand, and that's about it. Yeah, sorry for going a little over, but you're free to leave.